Hello everyone, this is part 21 of What If Naruto Was in Rosario Vampire, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. Naruto pointed to the cliff wall in the distance. That's the Hokage monument. The face of each Hokage is carved into it and memorialized for all of time. The fourth one over is Namikaze Minato, my father and the man who put the QB into me. Mocha looked at him with slight concern. You sound bitter. I thought you said you'd forgiven him. I did forgive him, Naruto admitted. But I guess I'm still a little bit bitter. He's considered the greatest ninja this village ever produced. His memory is worshipped almost like he were a kami. Meanwhile his son got treated like the lowest kind of SC for something that wasn't his fault or his choice. He chuckled sourly. Of course at the time I had no idea who I was or why I was treated so badly. All I knew was that everyone hated me. Now that I know the truth, how could anyone blame me for being bitter? Try not to feel too upset about your father. After all, she gently stroked his cheek. If it weren't for him you wouldn't be so cute now, would you? He smiled at her and laughed a bit. Come on Mocha-chan, let's go. Taking her hand they both leapt off the building. XXXXXXXXXX. Ino sighed and turned the page of the fashion magazine she was reading. This sucks, she muttered to herself. She was a beautiful C-16-year-old Chunin who was finally back in Konoha after a 6-month tour on the Suna front. I should be going out on dates with Sasuke-kun, I should be shopping with Forehead, I should have Shika and Chuji fawning over me and trying to get my attention. She let out a huge sigh. Instead I'm here. For Ino, here was her family's flower shop. Despite being a veteran enjoying a respite between tours, her mom had not thought twice about having her spend her precious free time covering the counter. She might as well have been a little girl again. Thinking that made her feel even more depressed. In some ways her life seemed to be in a real rut. Despite all her attempts to win him over, Sasuke remained perpetually disinterested in her. The only positive she could find when it came to him was that he was at least consistent and just as uninterested in Sakura. She was finally getting sick of his unending rejections and his disdainful attitude towards her and women in general. She had actually started to flirt a little with Shikamaru. He was lazy but also cute and intelligent. And while he might make fun of her at times, he at least paid attention to her. She even thought he was interested in her, though of course he was too lazy to take any initiative. She'd seen enough in the war to understand that nothing in life was certain. She had already wasted too much time on Sasuke. Maybe it really was time to move on and give Shika a chance. A little bell above the door jingled as it was opened. Welcome to the Yamanaka flower shop, she sang out automatically. She put the magazine away as her eyes darted to her customer. Now what do we have here? He was a cute-looking blonde boy with scars on his cheek. From his dress he looked like he was a ninja, though she didn't recognize him and he had no height. Even though she was sure he was a stranger, she got the weirdest feeling that she had seen him before. How can I help you? He went directly up to the counter. I'd like to buy 4 white chrysanthemums, please. She instantly felt a touch of sympathy for him. Ah, yes sure, I'm afraid we keep a large stock on hand. What with the war and all. White chrysanthemums were the traditional flowers of mourning and of funerals. Did you recently lose someone? She asked sympathetically. No, they're for 4 people I lost a long time ago. She nodded as she got his order ready. That's good that you remember them, she looked a bit sad. I lost my father about a year ago. He was on a mission in Sound. My mother and I leave fresh flowers on his grave every week. How nice, Naruto said politely. I'm sure it's a huge S considering you own a flower shop. I don't mean to be nosy, Ino said as she was about to be nosy. But you're dressed like a ninja, yet I'm sure I've never seen you before. Actually you have, Ino, though I don't blame you for not remembering me, it was a long time ago. I remember you though. Really, when did we know each other? She was now officially intrigued, especially since he recalled her name. The flowers will be 1400 ru please. Naruto pulled a pair of 1,000 notes out of his purse. I was a classmate of yours back during your very first semester at the Ninja Academy. At the mention of the academy, everything suddenly snapped back into her mind. I remember you. Those scars on your cheeks. You used to wear that really ugly orange jumpsuit and be loud and annoying all the time. You're Naruto, aren't you? I am. He took his change and his flowers. Ino eyed him up and down appreciatively. He was a good-looking guy. She actually thought he looked a little like the Yondaime. Wow, you certainly have changes since then. Thank you. You on the other hand seem a lot like the girl I knew back then. Really? She felt herself blush a little. Yes, he was smiling. You were a vain, shallow little girl who cared only about looks and what other people thought. You fawned over Sasuke and you treated me like dirt, and you probably did both just because it was what people expected. What? Ino shouted furiously. Still smiling, he headed out the door. He waved cheerfully. Anyway, thank you for the flowers. XXXXXXXXXX. Waiting outside patiently for him was Mocha. Thanks for letting me go in by myself. I figured it would just be faster that way. No problem, Naruto-kun, but I'm curious why I am feeling intent coming from a flower shop. Mocha asked. She slipped her arm through his. I ran into an old classmate. Mocha frowned a bit. Was he really still so angry with you after so many years? It was a her, and she didn't remember me. Then why is there intent? She asked curiously. I reminded her who I was and I told her what I thought of her from back in those days. From the reaction I am guessing it wasn't very complimentary. Naruto shrugged. It was the truth. The truth. Isn't that rather dangerous given how you really feel about this place? He gave her an amused look. I thought you detested liars. And I thought you lied to protect yourself. Oh, I'm still going to lie to people, Mocha-chan, Naruto told her. But I'm only going to lie when it's necessary for our protection or to further my plans. When I was little, I used to do everything I could to try and get people to be nice to me. And no matter what I said or did, it never helped. They beat me and they abused me just because they could. He wore a savage smile. So F them, F every last one of them. I'm not a helpless child anymore. I won't try to get them to like me. I won't kowtow to them. I won't run away and hide. And Kami help anyone who tries to abuse me now. XXXXXXXXXX. They visited the shrines first. In Konoha, people believed in the Will of Fire. It was a special form of ancestor worship. People worshipped not only their own ancestors but those of previous generations who had loved and given their all for the sake of the village. So it was not surprising that special care was given to the Hokages, who were after all symbols of that Will of Fire. Each Hokage had his body laid to rest within his own shrine. The very first place they went to visit was the Yondaime's shrine. That was not due to special feelings on Naruto's part. It was due to the pragmatic fact that he knew where the shrine was. Even though it was a Tuesday morning, they were not the first to visit. There were already flowers and small offerings laid out. Naruto put down one of the flowers. I forgive you, father, and hope you can find peace one day. That was all he had to say. He bowed his head to his father's image and left. For her part, Mocha offered a respectful nod and then followed him. Naruto had to ask around to find out where the third Hokage's shrine was. When they found it, they saw it was smaller than the Yondaime's. Inside there were no flowers or offerings. Naruto's was the first, it seemed. Unlike at his father's shrine, Naruto actually knelt down and offered up some prayers. Mocha did not pray, but she stood there silent and respectful, honoring her husband's feelings and beliefs. Leaving the third shrine, Naruto suddenly spoke. He was a good man. I don't agree with some of the things he did, but at least he tried. He was one of the very few who gave a damn about me, and for that he will always love him. Then I am very glad you had him to watch out for you, Naruto-kun. XXXXXXXXXX. Finding his mom's grave had proven very difficult. He had thought that since she'd been the Yondaime's wife that she might have been buried alongside him. But not only had she not been there had no mention anywhere of her existence or the fact that the Yondaime had ever been married. He had asked around but no one seemed to have even heard of her. Finally, in desperation, he had simply gone looking through the gravestones in the section reserved for the burial of foreigners. And sure enough, he'd finally found her. Uzumaki Kushina had been given a humble tombstone that had listed nothing more than her name and the dates of her short life. Her grave was identical to the ones on either side of her. Naruto laid down his flower and spoke his prayers. Then he stood up and stared down at the gravestone. Bastards, he muttered furiously. What is it, beloved? He pointed. Her tombstone says Uzumaki, but she was married to my father. It was a secret marriage, to protect her from his enemies, but Jiraiya and the council all knew about it. By all rights she should be interred next to my father, the same way Sarutobi's wife was. But no, they wouldn't even allow her to receive his name. They probably didn't like the image of the greatest hero in love with and married to a kunoichi from another village. So after she SD in childbirth giving their beloved Yondaime a son and heir, they buried her here without any special honors, just one more foreigner. Though I suppose I should be glad for one thing. What's that? They at least gave me her name, and for that I'm grateful. He reached out and touched her grave. I'm going to build you a shrine, Mom, one deserving of you. And I'm going to lay you to rest there. An angry smile touched his face. Right beside Dad. XXXXXXXXXXX. He laid his last flower at the memorial stone. He reached out and touched the letters that were carved into it. Yumi no Iruka. He had SD in Wind Country and his body had never been recovered. I really wish we could have met again, Sensei. I met and fell in love with the most amazing girl. I know you would have liked her. If you were still here, things would be different. Naruto looked about carefully to make sure there was no one else around except for Mocha. He took out a high-tie-ite with a deep scratch in it and laid it down beside his flower. You gave this to me once, and told me that in your eyes I was a ninja. That was the proudest moment of my life. I am sorry, but I must return this to you now. Because I will never be the ninja you wanted me to be. I hope that you can forgive me for what I intend to do. And if you cannot forgive, I hope you will at least understand. He brought his hands together in silent prayer and bowed his head. XXXXXXXXXXX. There's no choice, Hiashi said wearily. We'll have to send out the entire Hunter Nin force to try and find him. We'll have to keep it secret that we're looking for him. If Akatsuki picks up that he's missing, they'll begin a general search as well. Jiraiya said. The fifth Hokage nodded. I want you to also turn all your spy networks over to this. Any hint of any individual matching his description is to be reported immediately. Jiraiya nodded. I intend to go out myself and see what I can find. After all, if he is traveling with a red-eyed silver-haired woman, that is bound to draw attention. Jiraiya sighed. Unless they're under a henge or illusion. We'll find him, but it may take a while. There was a timid knock of the Hokage's office door. Hiashi frowned. I said I was not to be disturbed. The door opened a crack and his secretary stuck his head in. He was a middle-aged man of the cadet branch. Please forgive me, Hiashi-sama, but there are two people here requesting an audience who I believe you will want to meet. Hiashi frowned. Hideo had been his secretary for 20 years, and knew better than to waste his time. If he thought it important enough to disturb him. Who are they? Hideo, Uzumaki Naruto and his wife Uzumaki Mocha. Wife, Jiraiya said, stunned. Hiashi was just as stunned, and far more angry. How dare he refuse my daughter and take someone else as his first wife? Send them in, the Hokage said curtly. Hideo was expert at reading the moods of his enigmatic master and knew he was furious, though he showed almost nothing. He nodded and swiftly disappeared. A moment later the door opened again and two people entered the Hokage's office arm in arm. Meeting the fifth Hokage for the very first time, Naruto smiled at him and gave him a bow that was every inch polite and proper. Uzumaki Naruto reporting in, Hokage-sama. It was going to be an interesting meeting. Half an hour earlier, Naruto and Mocha were walking back from the memorial. The park was nearly empty, but they both noted the looks they drew from the handful of people who were there. One mother actually scooped up her child and quickly left. For Naruto it was a reminder of what the past had been like and what the future held. I know how much you hate Lairs Mocha-chan, Naruto said quietly. But for as long as we're here we'll both have to wear masks. She looked over at him carefully. He had mentioned this before when they had discussed coming here. Does that mean you will become the silly prankster again? No, he said curtly. I guess my pride has grown since I met you and started really getting strong, but I won't play the fool anymore. Then what role do you have in mind, Naruto-kun? He smiled wickedly. I was thinking I'd play to all their fears and expectations and be a vicious little monster. She lifted an eyebrow. But won't that cause trouble? Yeah, it sure will, he said merrily. But I'm sure that the Hokage and other people expect me to be trouble. The easiest way to fool people is to just play into their expectations. If you show someone what they already expect to see, they usually won't question it. And I'm sure that just so long as the Hokage thinks he has a leash on me, he'll give me a fair amount of room. Why must we pretend at all? She frowned at him. We are both powerful, why must we indulge in this deceit? We're powerful, he nodded. But not powerful enough. I'm sure together we could handle any combination of ninja in this village, even including Jiraiya. But if we had to fight the entire village, we wouldn't stand a chance. So for now we'll lie and even do a little play acting if necessary. No one can know how much I hate this village or how much you hate humans. So I'll play the role of the angry, but leashed, monster. And you will be my sweet and understanding wife. She laughed slightly. And that is a role. Am I not your sweet and understanding wife? He grinned. To me you are Mocha-chan. But you'll have to be that way to all of them too. She sighed, but nodded. If it helps you, my husband, I will do it, though I loathe them not just for being human but for the way they have treated you. Naruto nodded. He was actually looking forward to it. When he'd first arrived at Ukai Academy, he'd found himself in a similar situation, surrounded by potential enemies who would kill him if they learned the truth. He'd survived Ukai Academy, he had even prospered, and he would survive Konoha too. In fact, he intended to not just survive but to have a whole lot of fun. Until the time finally came. XXXXXXXXXX. Having greeted the Hokage, Naruto turned to Jiraiya. Nice to see you too, Godfather. Jiraiya frowned at him. Naruto, where have you been for the past day? He had a huge smile as he took Mocha's hand. I just took a day to marry my beautiful wife here and have a quick honeymoon before reporting in. Is that a problem? The Hokage leaned back in his seat and steepled his fingers before his face. You were not granted permission to marry, he said coolly. Naruto looked at his supreme leader and held firm to his smile. And why would I need permission? 16 is the age of maturity in Fire Country. Both Mocha and I are old enough to marry without anyone's permission. From the message you sent me, I was under the impression you did not intend to ever marry. The Hokage said. Message. Jiraiya wondered. I changed my mind. I was able to wear him down, Mocha said teasingly. Hiashi turned his attention to her. Byakugan. The veins about his eyes popped up as he activated his bloodline. You do not possess a chakra system, as I suspected given the aura of power about you and the fact you were at that academy. You are not human, therefore your marriage is invalid. Don't even try, Naruto said menacingly. The Hokage made a simple hand sign. Pain. Ah! Naruto screamed and fell to the floor clutching his chest. Naruto-kun. Mocha immediately dropped down beside her husband. Hiashi ended the effect after only 3 seconds. I trust you will be more respectful towards me. You will never use that tone when addressing me. What did you do? Mocha demanded angrily. She helped Naruto get back up to his feet. I merely reminded him that he is to be respectful of his Hokage like every other ninja of this village. Despite standing shakily, he glared at Hiashi. But I'm not like every other ninja though, am I? If I were, you wouldn't have needed this, he pointed to his chest. The Hokage frowned at him. Despite the demonstration, he did not seem properly cowed. I do not wish to compel you to fulfill your duties, on the contrary I would much prefer you act on your own accord. However, I will have obedience from you in one way or another. Naruto carefully let go of his wife and stood on his own 2 feet. If you plan on trying to take Mocha from me, you better just go ahead and kill me. I'd sooner be S than live without her. He grinned mockingly. Though I guess that would ruin all your plans for the Namika's fortune and me leading the army to glory and all that crap. And I will kill you or anyone else who tries to separate me from my husband. Mocha said as Hiashi felt a disturbing amount of intent focused in his direction. Now, Jiraiya stepped forward into the brewing disaster. I'm sure that isn't necessary. You can have 3 wives after all, though I am certain the Hokage would have preferred that Hinata had been your first wife, second wife will do. The Hokage frowned. He had not intended to have to negotiate. By all rights, Naruto should have done as he was told without argument. But both he and the girl had meant exactly what they'd said. And Naruto had been quite correct in saying his death would ruin all the plans Hiashi had made. If Naruto really was ready to rather than be separated from this girl. If you will agree to take Hinata as your second wife, I will not object to your so-called marriage to this woman. Naruto was about to tell him to go to hell when he felt Mocha's hand fall on his shoulder. He will agree to marry your daughter on the condition that it will be nothing but a political act. He will never love her or consummate the marriage. She will be his wife in name only. Naruto looked at her in shock. Mocha-chan, what are you saying? Mocha looked over at him calmly. It is all right, Naruto, marrying the Hokage's daughter will make things easier for you in this village. So long as she is never in your bed, I will accept this as a political necessity. The Hokage frowned. It was well and good for him to bend others to his own needs. But he did not like the though of his eldest daughter being used as a bargaining chip. My daughter is considered one of the most beautiful and desirable maidens in all of Fire Country. I have had requests for her hand in marriage not only from the most powerful ninja clans but also from the wealthiest and most powerful men on this continent. Then give her to one of them, Naruto said. Let her marry someone who actually wants her and might love her. Mocha-chan is the only woman I will ever love or want. The Hokage frowned. The fact was there was no other connection better than to Namikaze. Whatever he thought of Naruto personally, he remained the last tie to the legendary Yondaime and to the vast fortune and council seat that belonged to the Namikaze. It was a combination of wealth and influence that no other suitor could possibly match, not even the last Uchiha. You will marry my daughter in 1 week's time. I will accept that this will only be a political marriage for now. But Hinata is a very sweet and charming girl, perhaps your opinion will change eventually. Don't count on it, Mocha said sweetly. Hiashi eyed the strange woman with carefully hidden contempt. That she was a barrier to his long-term goal was obvious. He wanted an heir to the Namikaze clan born from his own daughter. Once there was an heir in place with Hyuga blood. Well, Naruto was just too dangerous to have around permanently. But for right now he was needed to win the war and father an heir. Once those things were done, he would no longer be necessary to either the village or to the Hyuga. Along with marrying my daughter, I will also expect you to quickly increase your power further and to act in my interests as both Namikaze clan head and council member. In other words, you want me to be a bad-ass cur as soon as possible and to be your political puppet too. Naruto shrugged. Fine. Honestly, I don't give a damn, so I'll be your cur and destroy your enemies. I'll vote your way and say whatever you want me to say. But just so we're clear about something, I'm not taking any abuse from anyone in this village. If anyone tries to treat me the way they used to, I'll make them regret it. He sounds like another Gaara. Hiashi thought unhappily. But for the time being he is needed. If some SS must be made to keep him pliable, so be it. I understand, and I assure you I will work to make certain people treat you as you deserve, Namikaze Naruto. Naruto grimaced at the name change, but nodded. Like the marriage to Hinata, it would make things easier for him. I was wondering, do you suppose I could meet some people? I was thinking maybe I could throw a little party for them in my new mansion. The Hokage was very surprised by what sounded like a reasonable and sensible request. Who do you wish to meet? I want to meet with the council members as well as all the clan heads, including Uchiha Sasuke. The Hokage nodded. I think that a fine idea. Hosting a celebration at the Namikaze mansion will make an excellent first impression. We can have it take place tomorrow and use the occasion to announce your marriage to Hinata. Great, Naruto said dully. Jiraiya then smiled. After that, Naruto will be overseeing your training. The Hokage has decided to give you to me as a second apprentice. I'll warn you, I plan to work you hard. I understand the only jutsus you know are henge and substitution. I'll be busy teaching you new jutsus. Oh, yeah, I can't wait to finally learn some new jutsus. He hoped he sounded enthusiastic enough. Jiraiya nodded. And just so you know, you'll be training alongside Uchiha Sasuke. Sasuke is your other apprentice. Naruto asked. Do you think I could meet with him today? I really want to talk to him. There's some special reason you want to talk to him? Jiraiya asked. Well, I did his brother. Both men suddenly stared at him at the bombshell he had just dropped. Naruto, Hiashi spoke eagerly. Are you saying you ked Uchiha Itachi? Naruto shrugged. Well, he said that was his name and he had red eyes. He got a lethal wound from someone else, but technically he SD while facing me. Both men continued to stare at him. Did I do something wrong? I was only defending myself. You killed the greatest traitor this village has ever known. Hiashi stated. This will do wonders for your reputation. I wonder how Sasuke will take the news. Jiraiya said. I think I should warn you he may not appreciate the fact you killed him. Well, of course not, they were brothers. Jiraiya shook his head. That's not the reason. He hated his brother and built up his whole life around his ambition to take revenge against him. You've just robbed him of his life's ambition, he may not appreciate it. My heart bleeds for the poor guy, anyway I'd like to talk to him if I could. He's out of the village at the moment, Jiraiya informed him. But I'll make sure he attends the party tomorrow. I am curious Naruto, just how did you defeat Itachi? The Hokage asked. Even if he was wounded he would have been an extraordinary enemy. Well, Naruto said simply. He placed me under some kind of genjutsu where he entered my mind. I think he called it Tsukuyomi. In my mind he faced the Kyuubi. When the genjutsu ended he collapsed and shortly SD. What he had just told them was technically true. Of course he left out some minor details, like the fact the Kyuubi was no longer a personality in his mind or that he'd gained a wealth of classified information about Akatsuki and other things. The Hokage had denied him information about everything from Iruka's death to the fact there was an organization after him. He took a certain pleasure in returning the favor. Itachi had asked him to pass on all the information to the Hokage. Naruto had answered circumspectly, I will tell the Hokage about this. And he just had. He told the Hokage about his meeting with Itachi. He had however never specifically promised to say anything about the information. Even if it was a bit of a cheat, Naruto had technically kept his word. To sort of make up for that he would truly make an effort on the second request from Itachi. Both the Hokage and Jiraiya seemed to accept Naruto's explanation that implied that the Kyuubi had been the cause of Itachi's death. So does that mean the second ninja was his partner Kisame? Jiraiya asked. His partner was a blue-skinned ninja who looked like a shark demon rather than a human. Moka answered. I killed him with his own sword. You defeated Kisame in single combat? Jiraiya asked carefully. Moka nodded and both his and Hiashi's opinion of her rose several notches. Anyone who was a match for the likes of Kisame was not to be taken lightly. XXXXXXXXXXX. After an extended question and answer session, Jiraiya agreed to lead both of them to the Namika's mansion. As they went, the two of them stayed a few steps behind him. Moka leaned over and whispered in his ear. When that bastard tried to hurt you, did he? The way you screamed, I was afraid. Smiling, he gave her a bear shake of the head and whispered back. I felt a twinge on my chest but no pain at all. Like I said, the best way to fool people is to show them what they expect to see. Neither Jiraiya nor the Hokage suspected that the leash that had been placed on him had been slipped off. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.